This is VSiN Primetime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, it's prime time on a Tuesday night. Will Hill, Matt Youmans here for 3 more hours. This is a 4-hour show tonight, and we are monitoring the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and baseball as well. And we're also going to talk golf. We got the year's second major tournament up this week, the PGA, and no better guest to have tonight than Jeff Sherman, odds maker at the Westgate Superbook, on with us every Tuesday night. Let's go out to the Progressive guest line and welcome in Jeff. Right now, Jeff, the Cavs are putting it on the Pacers, 44-31, about halfway through the second quarter. What was your betting action like on this game tonight? And did you play this game?
I didn't get involved myself. We opened Cleveland 7.5 and immediately took some sharp play on Indiana. And, you know, all the speculation about Mitchell, whether he was going to go or not. So initially they took it, then they laid it back, settled at 8, and then we took some late money, -8 to close 8.5. And Mitchell looked like he's fine. He looks like he's in better shape than I thought he'd be after his ankle injury. I know they were up by 40 and things were more cautious, but they said he would have missed regular season games, re-aggravating that ankle injury, but he looks not too bad tonight.
46-31, Cavs on top. Again, live number 14.5. And Cavs trying to stay alive in this series, down 3-1. Will, that's one of 2 games tonight.
Yeah, let's get into the nightcap. It's been a fun series. Nuggets and Thunder laying 10.5. Do you have concerns, beliefs that the Thunder are a bit of a front runner? They don't have a second option besides SGA, a little bit of a regular season paper tiger? Or is that an overstatement? What are you looking for in this game?
Well, obviously still the number 1 power rated team, but some of their youth is showing through during these playoffs. And, you know, I thought they would have learned a little bit more when they got ousted by the Mavericks last year. They've had some bumps in the road so far, but you know what? Sometimes every team has bumps in the road during the playoffs, but big win last game. It would have put them in a precarious position had they lost that one. But, now a 10-point favorite, and we're seeing a lot of split action on this. We've taken some sharp money -10 and also some sharp money on Denver money line +400. So right now the books position is Oklahoma City winning between 1 and 9.
Jeff, you and JVT, when we were doing this show about a month ago, you were both referring to the Western Conference kind of as the OKC Invitational, like the Thunder were going to roll in the West. Have you kind of changed your opinion at all on what's happening the more you watch OKC or not?
Well, these playoffs have changed my opinion basically on the landscape of the NBA right now and how much more competitive it is. And I know you can throw injuries in there too, but really there's been a lot, just no team rolling through. And, you know, even when you go back and look how Boston did last year, they had some fortunate breaks along the way, and sometimes you need that. But I'm starting to think about the title odds for next year and putting those up, and you're going to see a lot more wide open odds. I mean, obviously OKC is going to start at the top. I'd have them about 2-1, but they have a lot of flexibility and maneuverability to even improve their roster if they don't come through this season. But beyond that, it's going to be pretty wide open from an odds standpoint.
Well, let's keep it out west. Will, I believe you and I are on the same page here. I think the Warriors would have knocked out the T-Wolves if Stephen Curry had stayed healthy. Did you say that early in the show?
Yeah, I mean, they were up 1-0. They stole home court, and they would look like to be they were in good shape. And I want to get to that game, but you hit on it, Jeff. The odds for next year, I actually placed a bet last night, and I don't love tying up my money, but I think the Spurs have a very good chance of getting Giannis. How do you monitor the Giannis watch? How have you handled that in terms of putting up numbers for next year?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, the one thing I've been talking about is, I want to be aggressively low on Houston and San Antonio. I don't need to go too low on Oak City. They're already going to be low, so it's not like you're getting a flood of money. Even if something happened and they were to get him at 2-1, you can make a quick adjustment down low at that point. But I think Houston and San Antonio are the teams to buy in right now. I think they're both going to be aggressive. I think one of them will probably end up with Giannis. You have to think that if I'm in a situation in Milwaukee, I would look to move him now when he's got his most value before his contract goes a couple years deeper. And they're going to want to trade him out west, not in the Eastern Conference. So when you look at that, I would think those two teams are a starting point, and I'm going to be aggressively low on the future book on them.
Jeff Sherman, VP at the Westgate Superbook, with us now. Jeff, What did you think of the conspiracy theories about the NBA draft lottery last night? The Mavericks winning with a 1.8% chance.
It's funny that how it worked out that way. It's you're going to hear every different angle on how it plays out like that. But I would just say the Mavericks aren't deserving of that reward. And however anyone wants to spin it, they may. Well,
Will and I were talking about this. I used to believe in almost all the conspiracy theories during the David Stern era, going back to Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, LeBron and the Cavs, and how those teams won the lottery. Jeff, did you have similar views of the NBA under Stern's leadership? And do you think things are more, I'd say, above board or transparent now with Adam Silver in charge?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the Stern stuff, that was funny experiencing that. And I think it's much better now. And, getting back to Dallas here, the one thing that I am glad for is the Mavericks fan base, because they didn't deserve the Luka stuff. And at least they have something to look forward to now.
Well, Will and I are going to talk about this in the final hour tonight. So I'll throw this question at you right now. It was debated on ESPN today, and I think it's a ridiculous debate. But the question is, should the Mavericks trade the number one pick and try to get Giannis? What would you do?
I wouldn't trade him myself, but the funny thing is when Nico traded Luka, he said they were in it for winning now defensively. And you'd think you'd stay to that course. But now I know he's going to spin it and say, well, now we can win now and in the future. But it's changing course from what they initially traded Luka with. I wouldn't look to trade him. It's just you got now years beyond what you would have had out of Luka, and I think you have to go that route. That's just the way I would do it.
I think, Will, it sounds like you do. To me, the Spurs are the most likely landing spot for the Freak.
Well, you got the second pick, the 14th pick, some of Atlanta's picks going forward, and you've got Castle and Vassell and young players. So that, to me, I think they can trump any offer. But let's look at the games tomorrow. I'm curious how you priced Boston, New York. What is Tatum worth to the market? And how do you price in the fact psychologically that Boston losing their best player, losing him for a while, the collapse? How do you factor that into line? What was this like making a line here for the Celtics and the Knicks with the Celtics 4.5-point favorites now?
Yeah, you hit on all points on that one, because for the year we've had Tatum worth about 2.5 points. He's not as large as some of the other top players because of Boston's depth. And this line probably would have been 9.5 or 10, but then there's that extra part of it. Like you said, the emotional aspect of losing your best player, and they might come out just deflated, because even Al Horford was talking yesterday about it and said losing the game last night was nothing to losing Tatum and what he faced. So the players might still just have an emotional letdown from that, knowing what an uphill battle they face. And that's partly factored into the line. And, when this was sitting at 5, we took some sharp money +5 on that. So that's how the bettors are thinking too.
All right, Jeff Sherman of the Westgate Superbook with us. Jeff, let's go ahead and finish the final few minutes here with the PGA, the second major of the year. And you've got two, I would say, tightly priced favorites at the top of the board with Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. What has the action been like so far? And what do you anticipate here in the next couple days before this tournament starts at Quail Hollow in North Carolina?
Well, at our place, it's been all Scheffler and McIlroy support. Those are the only two that we have any liability on, and we've taken some over $9,000 wagers on each of them, one at 5-1 on Scheffler, one at 7-1 on McIlroy, along with everything else added up over the last few months. So those are the two that we're looking to avoid. But, you're getting some attractive prices on everybody else with those two so short. So now you're starting to see it show up elsewhere. And, tomorrow will be a very good handle because of the long odds on all the other golfers. So I'm expecting some good handle tomorrow.
All right, we got a question from a viewer, Easy Pickens, who says, do you have odds up on Rory to win the Grand Slam this season? Because the major's set up well for Rory to possibly win all 4, even though it seems like a stretch. Or would you be better off, do you think, Jeff, playing a rollover parlay? Do you have odds up on Rory to win the Grand Slam?
Yeah, we do have that. I put that up right after his Masters win, and looking at what the rotation was coming up in Quail Hollow, where he's won 4 times, Royal Portrush, where, he grew up on that course. So it looks tailor-made for him, as difficult as it's going to be. I opened it 100-1. Haven't seen too much support, so I'm up to 150-1. All the support that I've seen on this proposition is him winning exactly one major, We're up to minus 325 on that aspect. So Grand Slam got bumped up to 150 to 1. If you can roll it over, you're going to get higher odds than that. The only problem is by the time you hit that third one, it might be such large liability. You might have, some books might not take a bet that size to win that much.
All right, Jeff, I know you've got some plays here on the PGA. Aside from the two favorites, Scotty and Rory, who do you like and what do you have in pocket?
I've got Justin Thomas at 24 to 1, coming off his RBC Heritage win and just doing so well. And he won here in the PGA Championship in 2017 too. So thought anything over 20 to 1 is nice on him. I played Tyrrell Hatton 75, Corey Connors 82, Daniel Berger at 112, and my long one, Aaron Rye at 249 to 1.
That is a bomb. All right, Jeff, tune in. The Pacers are back in it against the Cavs. It's 52 to 49. Cleveland on top of Indiana late in the second quarter. Jeff, appreciate the time and enjoy the golf this week.
All right, thanks, you guys too.
Will Hill,
Thanks,
how about
Jeff.
this comeback by the Pacers? They're on a run. They were on a 24 to 8 run. It looks like the Cavs are going to score here to stop this run briefly, but the Pacers right back in it, Will.
We got to just stop thinking about this stuff. And anytime a team gets down 15, 20 points, just take the other team on the money line, the spread, and don't even ask each other what we think. It just got to be an automatic bet at this point with these playoffs. Crazy.
I was trying to say, how big did that number get on the Pacers?
I didn't see it at its apex, but
14 and that was
16 and a half, something like that.
I was going to say 14 and a half, 16 and a half, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Now it's a 4-point game with 2 minutes to go before the half. Quick break. Back here in a couple minutes with more NBA, more golf here on VSiN Primetime.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we're almost at the half in Cleveland, and we have a game. Will Hill, how about this? 56-52. Cavs over the Pacers, 11 seconds ago. You said when Tyrese Halliburton was coming out, Iowa State, you liked him a lot, and you thought he was underrated.
Yeah, it was the COVID draft, I think. Knicks had a chance to draft him. Took Obi Toppin. A couple teams passed on him, maybe even Phoenix, some good teams. I liked him at Iowa State. I understand a very unconventional shooting motion, almost like we were talking about between the break, shooting from his hip. Reminds me a little bit of, I can remember when Phillip Rivers was in college for NC State, and I was like, man, he's really good, but is that going to work in the NFL? It's so unconventional, but it's effective. And Halliburton, boy, some of the threes he had about 4 or 5 in like a 7 or 8 possession stretch here. And they had so much arc on them, and they're from so deep. It does look pretty when it goes through the net. So Halliburton single-handedly getting them back in this game is now 56-52. Might be a possession or split second behind here as I'm watching the TNT feed. And I think yours might be a split second ahead of me. But look, if you're the Cavs, this is dangerous. You had a team like you've had them before on the ropes, and we're talking about maybe Indy packs it in and gets ready for Game 6. No packing it in with this bunch. They are tough. They're mentally tough. They are relentless in terms of the way they play basketball. So if nothing else, we're in for a pretty exciting second half, I would think.
Yeah, at this point, you could say the Pacers are not going to pack it in, right? They're going to try to finish off this series because they smell blood. They were down big, and they've cut into this Cavs lead, now 4 at halftime, 56-52. And, again, I'll tell you where this number stands here at DraftKings. 56-52. Cavs, 8.5-point favorites when we tipped off. Now 7.5-point favorites for the game. Total of 225.5. Now total is down about 4 points. Circa closed 229.5. DraftKings closed 230. And Cavs right now up by 4, 56-52. at halftime.
Pacers probably covered the first half, right? Depending on where you got it. I didn't bet the first half, so I didn't see what it closed at, but that's one where it probably depends where you bet it, when you bet it. That probably came right around the number with a pre-flop total of 8.5, and it lands on 4 for the first half. That's probably right around the number. I'm sure people listening can.
Well, if you bet the Pacers in the first half, you should have at least pushed or won that bet.
Yeah.
With a 4-point game at the half. By the way, the Pacers are 8 for 20 from 3. They started 1 for 10. Well, that means they were 7 for 10 after that. They get to 8 for 20 at the half. So Pacers really heated up from 3. And like I said, Tyrese Halliburton had 5 of 6 threes after a slow start to this game. He's got 17 points. Donovan Mitchell, 0 for 5 from 3, but he is 10 for 12 from the free throw line. He's got 16 points. The Cavs are 1 for 11 from 3. And that's what's interesting about this, Will. At halftime here, after that second quarter where things flipped, the Pacers are 8 for 20 from 3, Cavs 1 for 11. So it's not like the Cavs are shooting the lights out tonight. If you look at that, if you look at the box score, the free throw line is where they've made their hay tonight, and they're lucky to be up by 4.
Yeah, and remember, the Cavs is a beat-up Cleveland team, so if you didn't put them away early, the second half, it's almost like a boxer who's cut going into the later rounds. Indy is just, talk about it, there's so much energy. They pressure you. Now they're making some shots, so very dangerous 24 minutes here for Cleveland. Instead of a rocking chair win and you get your guys off their feet and you get ready to go back to Indy for Game 6, now you're in a fight for your season here. So a chance to put Indy away. They didn't do it. Do you have any feel for how the rest of this game plays out?
First half number there was 5.5 or 6. Just double check that. So yeah, the Pacers definitely covering the 5. You know, that's the adjustment that the bookmakers are going to make when the team's got to stay alive. You know, you're going to get that big first half, or you expect that big first half surge of energy, and so that number was adjusted to 5.5 or 6 in the first half, and the Pacers do cover that down 4. What was your question?
You have any feel here for the second half, how this game plays out?
I think the Pacers are going to stay in it. I think they're going to stay in it because the Cavs aren't playing that well. Like I said, when I look at the box score, they're 1 for 11 from 3. The officials and all the free throws that the Cavs have shot right now are the reason they are leading this game. So, yeah, it would indicate to me that the Pacers are going to stay in this game. I wish that we had taken the 12.5 or 14.5 when that live line peaked, I think, at 14.5. Probably should have taken the points. What did I say? I think the Cavs got as high as minus 1150 on the money line, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you could have gotten some very nice numbers on the Pacers on the money line. And
now it's minus 280. It's not minus 1150 anymore. Now it's minus 280. No. And Cavs 4-point favorites. So there we go. That's where we stand at halftime. And Cavs got to have some doubt creeping in, right? Because they've blown big leads in a couple of these games, and they've basically blown a big lead tonight in the first half.
Yeah, and I think the first 3 or 4 minutes of the third quarter is going to be very important. If Cleveland can push this back up to 10-12, you probably feel pretty good about them. But if the Pacers can just play even or tie the game, and then it's it's anybody's game going forward, that building can get tight. Sometimes those home courts can work against you.
All right, so Denver OKC coming up later tonight, about 1 hour, a little bit more than 1 hour away. OKC a 10-point favorite, total 222.5. On Wednesday, the doubleheader, New York and Boston. Paul Bovey, professional sports bettor from Vegas, probably on his way right now on the train, taking it from New York to Boston. He was there last night celebrating the Knicks win. He had a big bet on the Knicks. 4.5 is the number. Boston, 4.5-point favorite. Total 208. Quick look at this game on Wednesday night, Will. I was a little bit surprised with Jason Tatum being out that the number was 4.5. I thought it would be a little bit lower. What do you make of the number here? And do you think the falling star theory applies here, that when your star goes down, everybody else elevates a level of play to prove that they can win without the star?
That crossed my mind, and not only that, but this idea that there's almost no pressure on Boston anymore. Everyone's kicking dirt on them. Their best players they can almost come out in the underdog role. So sports have a funny way of working. We all assume they're going to lose tomorrow. Tatum's out. They're done. Right. Watch them go out and win. That being said, they're in the role of an underdog, but they're not priced as an underdog. So I have no interest in laying 4.5 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they played well. That's still a good team. And like you said, we've known this for years from watching the NBA and other sports too. Stars out, guys can step up. And overcome that loss, overcome that absence. That being said, it would be Knicks or nothing. I'm going to take the points here. I just don't know the mentality, the spirit of this Celtics team after all these blown leads, after their best player is not only out. It's not like he turned his ankle and he's out for 2 weeks. This is a guy they have personal relationship with. He's going to be out till basically most of next year, if not all of next year. Again, can you put that stuff aside and compartmentalize once the ball tips and the game starts? Possibly, but it'd be Knicks or nothing. I think the Knicks have a chance to close out, and the fact that I'm getting points would only point me towards the Knicks. Are you actually going to pull the trigger here on the dog?
It's Knicks or nothing for me too. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, but it's Knicks or nothing. A lot of times I do bet the fallen star theory, that the first game after a star goes down, you want to bet on that team. You've seen it in different sports over and over, year after year. But here with the Celtics, with Jason Tatum, who scored 42 points last night and hit 7 threes, I think the Celtics maybe for one game could withstand the loss of Tatum, rise up, and keep the series alive. But that's it. They're not going to win Game 6. They're not going to win this series. Maybe for one game they can stay alive. I'm not sure what to do with this one tomorrow night, but it would be Knicks or nothing for me because I don't like this Celtics team. They're soft. They shoot too many threes, and I don't think they're well coached. Very undisciplined the way they play. I was looking at some tape of some of the Celtics' offensive possessions. It's comical how sloppy this team is on the offensive end of the floor, and they just throw the ball around the three-point line until somebody jacks up a shot. I don't like the way they play. I think they're too soft, and the Knicks are going to knock them out. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow night, but it's definitely going to be Game 6 if it's not tomorrow night. Hey, you and I talked about this briefly. I kind of feel bad for the Golden State Warriors. It's one of my favorite teams of the second half of the season. I bet them at the All-Star break to make the playoffs. It was minus 115. They got there. They're on a roll with Jimmy Butler, Stephen Curry, kind of turning back the clock a little bit. Now Curry goes down with an injury in Game 1, and the Warriors can't get there without him. They're down 3-1 in the series. Minnesota is an 11.5-point favorite in Game 5. I think Golden State would have won this series. We can say what we want. No way to prove it. I think Golden State would have won this series if Stephen Curry had stayed on the floor.
Yeah, and I bet right before the trade deadline, because I heard whispers that they had a chance to possibly trade for Kevin Durant. And from all accounts, everything was agreed to, except Durant didn't want to go back there. Mm-hmm. I bet them at 60-1 to win the whole thing. And it was a week ago now, once Curry got hurt and it was a hamstring and it was going to be minimum a week, probably more, I felt that they were drawing dead and were probably not going to win another game in the rest of the series. I bet accordingly. I laid it with Minnesota. I took some Minnesota to win the West just to grab the number. I think Minnesota, this is a coronation tomorrow night. I think that, look, a team without a lot of success historically, a chance to go to back-to-back conference finals is pretty good. I think Golden State had their chance to steal one Saturday night. Once that got away, any chance of winning the series and getting Curry back went away. I think Minnesota absolutely rolls here.
Yeah, it slipped away from the Warriors on Saturday night. If you want to know where the money is really going, unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbook, giving you insight into where the sharp action is landing. Get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month at vsin.com/subscribe. We come back. Matt Grill of DraftKings talks PGA. Stay tuned.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, quick update from the ice. Dallas 1, Winnipeg 0. The road troubles continue for the Jets. They went into this game 0-4 on the road, outscored 22-7 in the playoffs, and down a goal early to the Dallas Stars. All right, it's PGA week, the year's second major, and who better to talk about it than Matt Grill, oddsmaker at DraftKings, joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Grill, we had Jeff Sherman on about a half hour ago to talk about the PGA. I'm going to see how similar your thoughts are to Jeff Sherman's. He said they're taking most of their money on Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy so far. Now, Bryson DeChambeau is getting a lot of action, too. What's the DraftKings odds board look like right now, 2 days out from the PGA?
Yeah, Matt, excited for the second major of the year this week, coming up in a couple of days at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. And they've had to survive a deluge here for about 2 days, so you can see a really soft course once we get to that first round on Thursday morning. And you probably noticed we've got an absolute all-star threesome with Scotty, Rory, and Xander all playing together. And like you mentioned, Bryson DeChambeau, no doubt about it. He's our biggest root against right now, more than double the liability of anybody else. We're offering best price that I see out there in the market right now, plus 950. Can actually get him in the without Rory and Scotty market right now. It's 7-1 with us as well. So we'll definitely be fading Bryson, but it could be that when it comes Sunday night, he could be holding the trophy again, because this course, with his length, and he's putted so great at this course over the years, he could be holding that trophy. So I think we're in a bit of a precarious spot right now, Matt.
Hey, Matt, I want to ask you one follow-up to that. So Bryson's attracting a lot of money here, and obviously Scotty and Rory are two, and Rory's long off the tee. Does all the rain that's falling at Quail Hollow, is that going to make a long course play longer, and that's why you think Bomber's going to have an advantage?
Yeah, definitely, Matt. I think that's just going to help the longer hairs even more. And this is, of course, you just have to go in the longest guys off the tee and with the carry. So we can talk about a couple guys that helps out this week as well. Guys a little bit further down the odds board, Terrell Hatton. He's a guy who's top 15 in carry. Might not think that, but he is. And not much of a track record as he's been on live for a couple of years. Wyndham Clark, a winner here 2 years ago when it was the Wells Fargo. He hasn't had the greatest year, but with his length off the tee, if he got out with the putter for a couple rounds, it could help him out. And Matt, usually this tournament's about 2-inch rough. They're starting off Thursday with about 2 3/4 inch rough, and then by Sunday, the course organizer said it'd be up to 4 inches. So I think we're going to see some pretty high scores on Sunday when that comes around, with the narrower fairways than we'd have for the usual Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow this week. So they're going to toughen it up, and I think by Sunday it's going to be playing pretty tough.
Matt, people are always going to bet Scheffler, like you mentioned, but hasn't played at this course. The price is pretty short. What do you expect from Scheffler here? And I'm trying to think, when is the last time Scheffler has played in a tournament and not been the favorite?
Yeah, I was really surprised to go back and see, Will, that Scotty has not played his tournament before. So it's going to be kind of a bit of a mystery with how he's going to fare at this course. Again, he's really one of the best players off the tee. Of course, on tour, but not, really in the longest there, not really in the top 25 or so. So, is that length going to hurt him a bit? So that's where another big factor of this course is really good long approach play. So this course has a lot of approaches from 175, 200 plus. He is one, of course, the best in the world at those distances. So I don't think it's going to end up hurting him too much, but there's something else to look at when looking at players to bet this week, not just long off the tee and carry, but the specialists from, 175, 200 out. So, Matt, Will, that's my first guy that I took this week, and the only one so far. We're still doing some research and kind of see how it plays with the weather. Is Xander Schauffele. You can find him up around 20 to 1 right now. If you guys remember last year at the Wells, he was tied with Rory going in that final round before Rory just had that sterling. I think it was a 64, just kind of blow away the field. But Xander was right there before that, and he was leading, I think, the first couple rounds of that tournament. Also has a good history here. This is one of the stickier course histories of the year. At this course, it's about top 5 in previous experience at this course. So like Xander at this discounted price, maybe he's not fully back from that rib injury early in the year, but I'm willing to take my chances with a guy who's, major tested at 20 to 1 plus.
You mentioned DeChambeau with his ability off the tee, and this course, friendly with putters. I could understand the enthusiasm for him. What are your thoughts on some of these other live guys? Anyone that they're betting, anyone that you're looking at or interested in?
Yeah, it's funny, guys. We were kind of talking about this at work the other week, and who are the guys who have really improved their game since going to live? And it's very few. Bryson's obviously elevated his game. Guys like Taylor Gooch, although he's not playing this week. Joaquin Niemann, probably the other one that comes to mind, who's gotten better since going to. But who else has gotten better since going to live? Not really anybody. So I just don't think these guys are battle tested week to week. Of course, Brooks Koepka did win a major at the PGA after going to live 2 years ago. But he's been out of sorts the last couple of majors. But would we be surprised if he contends this week? Probably not. And he's an attractive name there in kind of the 45, 50 to 1 range. So, other than Bryson, guys, not too scared of the live player this week, I think, in general.
All right, we're going to take a look at my card here, the best bets I've got so far. Will, have you bet anything in the PGA, or were you going to wait to see what Jeff Sherman and Matt Grill said tonight?
I'm not going to make any bets before I hear from Matt and Jeff, especially Matt. And I'll throw it to both of you guys, and I'm curious what you think. Max Homa has played terribly recently. I understand it, but at 170 to 1, he's won at this course. He's finished the top 8 twice. Is that a donation, or is that something that's actually worth making?
I don't know. I'll throw it to Grill because I thought Max Homa made a comeback at the Masters when everybody thought he was dead. Well, he's supposed to be a dead man walking that week at Augusta, and he showed up. Can he show up this week, Grill?
Yeah, I don't think it's the worst bet in the world. Like you said, 150, 201 on Max, who's 1 year before, and he's shown some flashes of coming back a little bit here the last few tournaments. So, probably a donation, to be honest, but I think there's worse guys to bet if you're looking in that 150, 200 range. One of those, Matt, who's kind of taken my attention, Cameron Young, just with his length off the tee, with the way this play, how much money we lost this guy over the years is unbelievable. I think that he hasn't won yet. But this is someone who, if he gets it together with his carry and his play, he's done okay this course too, I believe, in the past. He's another guy. If you were looking at someone to like in the 150, 200 range, I don't think he's the worst option. But again, I think the way this course is going to play out with such a long test, with the rain, with the tricky green complexes that they're going to be kind of mowing down, you got to have an excellent short game. Not too many bunkers at this course. I believe only 61. But it's going to be more than likely one of those top players in the world is going to be there lifting the trophy or in contention at late on Sunday.
All right, we're going to get to my best bets here. Also got a photo to show you, Grill. I told you that I took 9 months off, 8 or 9 months off. I played golf sometime in August and didn't play again until the first week of May. And played once in Vegas at Coyote Springs and played once in Hawaii at Royal Hawaiian Golf Club. We got a photo here. This course was awesome. It's in Kailua. It's about a half hour outside of Honolulu. Have you played this course, Grill?
It's funny, Matt. When you texted me that the other week, I have played there. I was in Hawaii one time ever visiting a friend, and I played that course. It's like right in the middle of the island. It's like you're in a jungle. So if you hit off the fairway, you might get lost there and never come back out. Right. So definitely keep the ball straight there. And yeah, Coyote Springs is another one of my favorites here, about an hour out of town. So a good couple of courses, Matty, to come back and play.
Yeah, back in action, back playing golf again. So I did pick two great courses. Royal Hawaiian, if you go to Honolulu, you want to play golf, you got to check out this course. And it's not that expensive. I think I played it for about $125. And I did see a couple dinosaurs while I was out there playing too. Royal Hawaiian and then Coyote Springs, about an hour north, I guess we'll call it northwest of Vegas, which is a great course to play as well. Grill, so it's great to be back in golf, and it's great to have a golf major back. Here's my card so far. I'm going to add to it, but this is what I got so far for the best bets. Rory, top 5 at plus 120. And actually at Circa right now, you can get plus 135, so I didn't get the best number on that. Bryson at 11-1. Bryson, top 5, plus 220. JT, 22-1. JT, top 10, plus 210. Shane Lowry, top 20, plus 185. And I bet a couple first-round leaders. Keith Mitchell, 60-1. Justin Rose, 75-1. Matt Grill, what would you add to that card, or what would you take off it?
Yeah, I think that's solid, Matty. Keith Mitchell, of course, the owner of, I think it's 3 or maybe even 4 first-round leader winners this year, just kind of, crazy. And had another one last week, and he's got good course history. So if he can throw together another good route to putter, he's got a shot that one more time. I, too, like I said, I just got Xander on my card right now, but I'm also probably going to be adding JT at around that 20-plus range. I like that. Patrick Cantley, he's another one up there on 40, 45. I think he's never put together for a major, but at that number with the way he's playing, that's another thing, guys. You have to be in really good form going into these PGAs. I think 9 of the last 12 winners had a top 15 in their last outing. So another guy you just mentioned, Shane Lowry, I like him as well this week. Has been playing some of the best golf of his career this year, even albeit without a win. It was very close last week. And then, a couple of people forgot about, he was running a little bit back in the form. Victor Hovland, I mentioned that long iron play that's necessary this week. He might be someone to look at too at 50-1 plus.
Hey, do you have odds up on Rory to win the Grand Slam this year?
We had it before the year, guys. I don't know if we have it up there or not, but take a look on the site.
Yeah, Jeff Sherman says he's got 150-1 on that at the Westgate. Matt Grill, appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Matt Grill of DraftKings Sportsbook with us. And check out the DraftKings live line right now in the NBA playoff game. Cavs back to 10.5-point favorites, 63-54 lead over the Pacers.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Indiana Pacers have taken the lead, 65-64. Cavs now 3.5-point favorites for the game, total 223.5 at DraftKings. Cleveland a -175 favorite, and appreciate Matt Grohl of DraftKings coming on as usual every Tuesday to talk PGA. We'll talk a little bit more golf later in the show. John Hasselbauer, you can follow him at PGA Tout. He's going to be on with us, in about 45 minutes. And John's done a great job hitting winners in golf this year, 65-64. How about this comeback by the Pacers, Will Hill?
Yeah, this is the thing about betting where I bet the Pacers plus the 8.5, and I'm sitting here and I'm annoyed, even though my bet's in good shape because I didn't bet more and I didn't bet it live and I didn't take the money line. It's just there's no happiness in this sometimes. It crossed my mind. But ultimately, and we were doing the show when the Cavs were out to a big lead, and it was the concern. I think it was a valid concern. All right, the Pacers are up 3-1. They've got a little wiggle room. Maybe they just pack it in, and the Cavs, with being at home, facing elimination, they keep the foot on the gas, and this is a Cavs runaway. Well, obviously not the case. And Cleveland came out of the half with a 4-0 run, pushed it from 4-point game to 8. And, boy, these Pacers, give them credit. They are relentless. They just keep coming at you. So 65-64. How do you think this one ultimately plays out? Do you think the Pacers close them out here?
Well, like I said, I think it's going to go to the wire. So if you got the points for the Pacers, you're in a pretty good spot. I have not been impressed by the way the Cavs are playing tonight and the way they're shooting the ball. They're 2 for 15 from 3. So right now you got a Pacers team that started 1 for 10 from 3. Since then, the Pacers are 10 for 15 from three-point range. That puts them at 11 for 25 from the game. And the Cavs, again, 2 for 15 from 3. Cavs are 18 for 22 at the free throw line, and that's why they've had the lead most of the way. It's been the free throw shooting. Donovan Mitchell has been to the line 12 times. The box score would indicate, and, we're trying to watch the game as much as we can here while doing the show. Box score would indicate the Pacers are playing a more efficient offensive basketball and probably playing the better game up to this point. It's just the officials and the free throws that put the Cavs in front. Pacers now overcoming that deficit, probably have a lot of confidence that they can close this out. I think you got to feel pretty good with the Pacers and the points. I don't know if they're going to close out the game. You're going to get the Cavs' best effort the rest of the way, Will. You know that. They're at home facing elimination. I think you'll get everything the Cavs have got that they can throw at you, and you're probably going to get the officials' whistles go in the Cavs' favor down the stretch too, right?
Yep, certainly something to consider. And just checking out the box score a little bit further, Donovan Mitchell, 3 of 14. Darius Garland, 3 of 11. Are these guys healthy? Are these guys banged up? And it's made the analogy a little earlier. It's like a boxer going into the later rounds, and they're cut, and they're hurt, they're banged up. The Pacers look just fresher. They look like the fresher, healthier team. And look, I don't know. Donovan Mitchell's not on the same level as LeBron and Jokic, these A1 level stars. So he's in that second, maybe third tier, somewhere in there. But he gets a little bit of a pass. A lot of his teams have a habit of doing this. They were the higher seed a couple years ago against the Knicks. They lost in 5 with home court advantage. His teams with Utah always collapsed. There was one year where they lost to a Clippers team with no Kawhi, and they completely fell apart. Nothing really sticks to him. He's playing for a smaller market. Again, he's not on that level with these upper echelon superstars, but it is something I've noticed. If you go through the history, the career history in the playoffs with Donovan Mitchell, there are a lot of these for his teams. I remember in the bubble, they were up 3-1. They blew that series to Jokic and the Nuggets. His teams have a habit of blowing these leads in the playoffs and coming up short.
That is true. Pacers up 65-64. This is their first lead since they were up 6-5. And Donovan Mitchell going to have to bring the Cavs back here halfway through the third quarter in that one. So you were talking about Tyrese Halliburton. So I looked this up. Halliburton went in the 2020 draft, number 12 overall. And he did go to the Sacramento Kings. The Pacers did not draft him. But the Kings gave up on Halliburton. He was the number 12 pick. Well, if you look at that 2020 draft, about 5 guys picked before Tyrese Halliburton, you would say, who? Where is he now? So you were right that he was underrated in that 2020 draft. That was when Anthony Edwards was the number 1 overall pick out of Georgia by the T-Wolves. How about the number 2 pick in that draft was James Wiseman, went to the Warriors.
Yeah.
And James Wiseman, as far as I know, he was with the Pacers briefly. I think he's out of the association right now. the number 2 pick in 2020. I'm sure he's playing somewhere, but I don't think he's in the NBA since the Pacers let him go. LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets went number 3. Then you have Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, and guys like Killian Hayes. The Wizards took Denny Avdija out of Israel. Jalen Smith went to the Suns. Devin Vassell went to the Spurs. Tyrese Halliburton was a steal by the Kings at number 12, but as usual, Will, the Kings did not hold on to a good player they drafted.
Yeah, they said, you know what, we made a good pick. We got to steal the draft. We can't have this. Let's give him away for Sabonis, who's a good player, but that's not a good trade for the Pacers. So, yeah, I thought Halliburton was underrated coming out. Like I said, Knicks had a chance to get him. The Suns were really good at the time. I think that was the year the Suns went to the finals or shortly after. And think about, what he would do for them, the Warriors. It is fascinating to look back some of these sometimes the NBA draft, NFL draft, and just think, what if, what could have been, these sliding door moments when these teams make these picks.
There's actually a few pretty good picks in the 20s. Tyrese Maxey out of Kentucky going to the Sixers at number 21. How about Peyton Pritchard, the Oregon point guard, went to the Celtics at 26, and Desmond Bane to the Celtics at number 30. Bane's from TCU's turned into be a really good NBA player. So here we go. Back to the court in Cleveland. It's 67-64 Pacers, 5.5 minutes to go. Pacers are not yet favored on the live line, but the Cavs are down to 1.5-point favorites for the game. All right, so the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA draft lottery last night with a 1.8% chance. Will, you and I were joking about this. I think, was it ESPN Bet that tweeted the Dallas Mavericks had 33-1 odds to win the number one pick? All right, well, that does not equate to 1.8% chance.
No.
You're not getting fair odds at 33-1. ESPN Bet, I think, offered 40-1 last night on the Mavericks to get the top pick. Anyway, they get the top pick. And now the question is, do you keep it or do you send it off in a deal to try to get the Greek Freak from Milwaukee? Here's Jay Williams, former Duke star, on ESPN this morning.
For a guy like Cooper Flagg, I think he needs reps. I think he needs a lot of room to grow. I'm not sure championship aspirations right away for him. Yeah. Now, look, the basketball part of me loves the thought of AD, Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively in the backcourt, right? But when I look at the value, could you potentially package something like this to get a Giannis? Could you package in a one-on-one trade to get a Devin Booker? Could you get a Tyrese Maxey? If your championship window is in 2 to 3 years, could you utilize that pick and some assets to get somebody who's ready to contribute to you right now with the pressure in the West Coast?
All right, that's Jay Williams, and I don't know, Will. I said this last night, and I'm going to stick with it. I would not give up the number one pick. You got a gift in Cooper Flagg, and he could be the cornerstone to face your franchise for the next 10 or 12 years. I would not trade him away. But are you trying to win a championship right away? And in that case, would you consider a deal for the Freak?
Oh, I would consider it. I ultimately would probably land with you and not pull the trigger. And ultimately, maybe this is stating the obvious. It comes down to how good you think Cooper Flagg is. If you think he's got a chance to be a top 10 or 15 player at his age, with his salary, all that stuff, you don't do it. If you think he's going to be good, but maybe like a 3 or 4 time All-Star, but not, best player on a championship team, which is only a handful of guys. You know what? Giannis, second, third best player in the league? It's like he's 30. It's not like he's 35 or 36. It's not insane to think about, but ultimately, because of the age gap, Giannis has had some injuries. I would probably just shy away from it and keep Flagg, but I can understand it. Let me ask you from this perspective. If you're Milwaukee, would you do it? Would you have Flagg? Because you don't have your picks going forward. You would have Flagg, but you wouldn't have much else around Flagg, and you wouldn't have a way of getting better. Or would you prefer a San Antonio package where you can get Castle, a bunch of picks, and you can just get a bunch of bites at the apple? It's interesting.
Well, I know this. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm trading the Freak one way or another. He's going to Dallas. Yeah. He's going to San Antonio. He's going somewhere. Look, you won a championship with him. It was a great draft pick. His era was a great success in Milwaukee. Now it's time to totally rebuild the Bucks. So they're going to have a lot of great options one way or another. All right, bet the Preakness Stakes with First Bet and get rewarded. We're going to talk some horse racing on this show later in the week. It's Preakness Week. New customers can use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all wagers for the first 60 days, up to $200. That's win or lose, you get paid back. Download the First Bet app or visit firstbet.com/bet. Use promo code VSiN200 to get started today. See it up there on your screen. First Bet, that's 1ST, VSiN.com/bet, promo code VSiN200. All right, if you have been watching Pacers Cavs, you just saw Donovan Mitchell hobble to the locker room. Did you see that, Will Hill? 71-65, Pacers over the Cavs, and Donovan Mitchell is gone to the locker room. Pacers have flipped to 1.5-point favorites.
Incredible comeback. I guess we should expect it with the way these playoffs have gone.
All right, that wraps up hour number 2 on VSiN Primetime. Quick break. We got more on the PGA, NBA, NHL, and baseball. Stay tuned to the Sports Betting Network.